The receipt printed at the bottom of the grocery bag wasn't supposed to matter, but it ended my marriage anyway. I noticed it because the total was higher than usual. I stood in the kitchen unloading groceries, placing things where they'd always gone, while my wife, Megan, talked behind me about traffic and a client who wouldn't stop emailing her after hours. Normal noise, normal life. When I unfolded the receipt to check what I'd missed, one line stood out. Rosewood Suites, 214.89. My chest didn't tighten. My pulse didn't jump. I just stared at it longer than necessary, letting my brain catch up. Rosewood Suites wasn't a grocery item. It wasn't gas. It wasn't a restaurant we went to. It was a hotel. Megan noticed my silence. "You okay?" she asked. "Yeah," I said, folding the receipt slowly. "Just tired." She smiled, relieved, and kept talking. That's when I understood something important. She believed I wasn't paying attention anymore. "My name is Caleb Turner. I'm 38 years old. Married for 10 years. No kids. We live in a quiet suburb outside Denver, where people wave but don't ask questions. I work in logistics analysis. I'm paid to notice patterns most people miss. Megan knew that about me, which meant she believed I'd stopped being who I was. That night, she fell asleep quickly, curled toward me like always. I waited until her breathing settled, then quietly got out of bed and sat at the dining table with my laptop. I logged into our shared credit account. The Rosewood charge wasn't alone. 3 more appeared when I scrolled. Different dates, same hotel, all during lunch hours. All on days she claimed to be buried in meetings. I didn't take screenshots yet. I didn't panic. I didn't wake her. I simply closed the laptop and went back to bed, staring into the dark, replaying the last 6 months with new clarity. The sudden interest in new clothes, the way she showered immediately after work, the way her phone never left her hand anymore. Cheating rarely announces itself loudly. It whispers until you stop listening. The next morning, Megan kissed me goodbye and said, "Late night tonight. Team dinner." I nodded. "Have fun." I checked her location an hour later. Rosewood Suites. The dot sat perfectly still. I stared at it for a long time, not angry, not shocked, just finished with doubt. That was the moment I decided I wouldn't confront her. Not yet. Confrontation would give her room to lie, to cry, to reshape the truth into something survivable. I didn't want survivable. I wanted complete. Over the next 2 weeks, I became invisible. I didn't ask questions. I didn't check her phone. I didn't follow her physically. I let her routine continue untouched, and I documented everything she left exposed: credit charges, location history, calendar gaps, messages that popped up on her lock screen when she forgot to turn notifications off. One name appeared more than once: Ethan, always during work hours, always followed by silence. I searched him. Ethan Brooks, married, 1 child, works in commercial development. His wife posted photos constantly, smiling family, gratitude captions, inspirational quotes about trust. Megan had liked several of them. That detail stayed with me. The affair wasn't accidental, it was comfortable. The real turning point came when Megan brought him into my house without realizing it. It was subtle. She came home one evening, flushed and distracted, dropped her purse near the door, and went straight to the bathroom. Her phone slid out of the bag and landed face up on the floor. A message lit the screen. "He's so clueless. We're safe." I stood there looking at it, my heart calm, my hands steady. That sentence wasn't about love. It was about strategy. I picked up the phone, didn't unlock it, didn't touch anything, just took a photo of the screen with my own device and set it back exactly where it had been. When she came out, she kissed me lightly and asked about dinner. I smiled. That night, I called a lawyer. I didn't explain the emotions. I explained the facts. He listened, then said something that confirmed everything. People who feel in control make mistakes. Let her keep thinking she is. The next step wasn't exposure, it was preparation. Because when this ended, I wasn't going to argue. I was going to step away with everything that mattered intact and leave her standing in the mess she thought she had hidden. And the Rosewood receipt? I taped it inside a folder labeled taxes, where it waited patiently, just like I did. The waiting changed the texture of time. Days stopped blurring together. Each one became sharp, deliberate, marked by what I learned and what I chose not to say. Megan moved through the house with the confidence of someone who believed the world was stable beneath her feet. She hummed while making coffee. She complained about traffic. She kissed me without thinking, the way people do when they believe intimacy is a habit, not a privilege. I let it continue. The rosewood charges kept appearing, not weekly, not daily, irregular enough to feel organic, planned enough to feel intentional. Lunch hours, early afternoons. Never overnight. Never anything that would trigger suspicion if someone glanced quickly and didn't really want to see. I wanted to see everything. I met with the lawyer again on a Thursday afternoon. His office smelled faintly of old books and cleaner, the kind of place where nothing dramatic ever happened, only irreversible decisions. I laid out the documentation in neat stacks. He didn't react. He never does. He simply nodded and asked questions that mattered. House title? He asked. In my name, I said. Purchase before marriage. Joint accounts? Yes. We can change that quietly, he said. Do you want to? Yes. And exposure? I thought about it for a moment, about Ethan's wife and her smiling photos, about the message on Megan's phone. He's so clueless. We're safe. I want accuracy, I said. Not spectacle. He nodded again. That usually hurts more. We moved money first, not dramatically, not all at once, just enough that when she reached for it later, it wouldn't be where she expected. I opened a new account, redirected my paycheck, set aside what belonged to me, left enough in the joint account that nothing looked wrong. The illusion of normalcy is a powerful anesthetic. Megan didn't notice. She grew bolder. One evening, she told me she'd been invited to a work conference in Aspen. 2 days. Networking. Team dinners. She said it lightly, already expecting approval. Sounds nice, and I said. She smiled. You should come up sometime. You'd love it. I nodded. Maybe. I checked the hotel she mentioned. Rosewood Suites. She left Friday morning with a suitcase that was just a little too small for 2 days of professional events. I hugged her goodbye, watched her drive away. Then I sat at the kitchen table and stared at the receipt taped inside the taxes folder. It had never been about the hotel. It had been about the confidence. That afternoon, I emailed Ethan's wife. I didn't send proof right away. I sent context. I explained who I was, what I had found, how long it had been happening. I told her I wasn't angry and I wasn't asking for anything. I told her I believed she deserved to know. She replied late that night. I knew something was wrong. I just didn't know how wrong. I sent her everything. The next morning, while Megan was supposedly attending her first conference session, Ethan's wife packed a bag and left their house with their child. I know because she told me. Her messages were steady, controlled, but beneath them was the sound of something breaking cleanly, like ice splitting on a lake. Thank you for telling me, she wrote. I would have kept lying to myself. By Saturday afternoon, Megan's phone was blowing up. She called me 3 times in a row. I didn't answer. She texted, Are you okay? Please call me. Something's wrong. I waited until Sunday evening. When I answered, she was already crying. Caleb, she said, I need you. What's wrong? I asked calmly. Ethan's wife knows, she said. She left him. She contacted HR. She's telling people things that aren't true. I didn't correct her. Did you know about this? She asked, suddenly sharp. Yes, I said. The silence on the line was immediate and total. You knew, she repeated, voice hollow. I noticed, I said. There's a difference. She started talking quickly then. Apologies, explanations, words tumbling over each other like she could stack them high enough to build a bridge back to safety. It didn't mean anything, she said. It was just lunches, just time. I never stopped loving you. I let her talk. I didn't interrupt. I wanted her to hear herself. When she finally stopped, I said, Come home. She returned late that night, not confident, not smiling. She walked into the house like someone stepping into unfamiliar territory. Her eyes moved over the walls, the furniture, me, as if she was seeing everything for the first time. We sat at the dining table, the same one where I'd taped the receipt days earlier. I made a mistake, she said. I know that now. You made a system, I replied. Mistakes are accidental. She flinched. I want to fix this, she said. We can go to counseling. I'll quit my job. I'll cut him off. You already cut me out, I said. This is just the paperwork catching up. She looked at me then, really looked, and something shifted in her expression. You're not angry, she said. No, I replied. I'm finished. She reached for my hand. I didn't pull away. I just didn't move. I thought you weren't paying attention, she whispered. I was watching the whole time, I said. The divorce moved quickly. There were no dramatic scenes, no screaming matches, just signatures and schedules and the quiet dismantling of a life that had been hollowed out from the inside long before I knew it. Ethan lost his job. Megan didn't, but her reputation followed her like a shadow. Opportunities dried up. Invitations stopped coming. The same people who once laughed with her now avoided eye contact. She moved into a small apartment across town. She tried to stay friendly. Casual texts, memories shared like currency. I didn't respond. The house changed. I repainted, reorganized, removed the echo of someone who had lived there physically long after they'd moved on emotionally. I fixed things that had been broken for years. I slept better than I had in a long time. Months later, I ran into Megan at the grocery store. She looked smaller, not physically, internally, like someone who had learned that confidence borrowed from secrecy doesn't survive daylight. You look good, she said. I feel honest, I replied. She nodded, swallowing. I didn't think it would end like this. It didn't end, I said. It clarified. She watched me walk away. At home, I opened the taxes folder and removed the receipt. I didn't throw it away. I placed it in a box with other things that had once mattered and no longer did. The lesson stayed. People don't betray you because you're blind. They betray you because they believe you won't look. I look now, and I live quietly because of it.